Welcome to Tales and Travel Adventures. Let's visit Egypt. Hello, my name is Mary Beth Reidner. I am a retired librarian. In 2008, I developed a program called Tales and Travel. This is the 16th in a series of programs adapting Tales and Travel for online use by groups or individuals. There are two ways to use this program. First, you can just listen and follow along as I read the narrative that accompanies each slide. Or you or your partner can turn down the volume and use the controls to pause each screen so that you can read the narrative out loud yourself. You might also want to talk with your partner about what you are seeing or about any memories that come to mind. Egypt is located in the northeast corner of Africa. Most of its 386,622 square miles consist of desert. The Mediterranean Sea lies to the north. On the west is Libya, and Sudan is to the south. The Red Sea lies to the east. The Sinai Peninsula is in the northeastern corner and is bordered by Israel on the east. The Suez Canal separates the Sinai Peninsula from the rest of the country. Cairo is Egypt's capital city. Most Egyptians live along the Mediterranean coast or along the Nile River. The Nile River is one of the longest rivers in the world. Only 1,000 of its 4,132-mile length runs through Egypt. The river runs from south to north. The southern region is called Upper Egypt, and the northern region is called Lower Egypt. We are starting our trip in Upper Egypt, which is located at the southern end of Egypt. We will be following the Nile River north to Cairo. When we land at the airport in the town of Abu Simbel, we are greeted by a group of Nubian singers in traditional dress. Outside the airport, we are surprised to see these horse-drawn carts. What a mixture of old and new. Abu Simbel is home to two large rock-cut temples that were built in the 13th century BC. The Great Temple on the left has 4 statues of Pharaoh Ramses II that stand 66 feet high. Nearby is a smaller temple, shown on the right, that is dedicated to his wife, Nefertari. In the 1960s, the Aswan Dam was built north of Abu Simbel, creating Lake Nasser. These temples would have been underwater, but they were saved by the efforts of UNESCO. Both temples were cut into huge blocks and reassembled to higher sites further back from the river. We are so glad that we can still marvel at these ancient temples. Today, we will be taking a trip north on the River Nile on this lovely boat. Even though it is October, the temperature is often in the 90s. Let's sit in the shade. Although Egypt is largely desert, the banks of the Nile are lush with greenery. Since ancient times, the river's waters have been used to irrigate farmers' fields. Do you think we might spy a crocodile? Nile crocodiles can grow to be more than 16 feet long. Once endangered, they are making a comeback. As we approach the Aswan Dam, we will stop to visit the Philae Temple complex. It was necessary to relocate these structures to a different island during the construction of the dam. The Temple of Isis is the largest one on the island. It was started around 350 BC. It is a fusion of 3 great civilizations, Egyptian, Greek, and Roman. It is approached by a double colonnade. This is a picture of the west row of columns. This is the second pylon or gate into the temple. It is about 40 feet high and 105 feet wide. Depicted on the towers are scenes of the pharaohs giving gifts to the gods. Many hieroglyphics are carved into the walls. Isis was known as a mother goddess and healer. This birthing house, or mamisi, is a small chapel associated with the birthplace of a god, in this case, her son Horus. Horus was a major deity of kingship, protection, the sun, and the sky. As we continue north of the Aswan Dam, we come to the town of Kam Ambo. The temple there is dedicated to two gods, Horus and Sobek, the crocodile god. The structure is symmetrical, with sanctuaries and entrances for each god. Just a little further north of Kam Ambo is the Temple of Horus at Edfu. It is one of the best preserved temples in Egypt. It was built in the 2nd century BC when Egypt was ruled by the Greeks. Seen here is the pylon or main entrance. The god Horus is often depicted as a falcon, as shown here. There are more than 32 columns in the Temple of Horus. The intricate carvings on the walls and columns can still be easily seen. This happened because over the centuries, the temple had been covered by about 40 feet of sand. Only the upper part of the pylons were visible when archaeologists began to unearth the temple in 1860. Are you ready for one of the most exciting experiences of our trip? Today, we'll be taking a sunrise balloon ride over the ruins of Luxor. After learning the safety rules, we will climb into the basket and ascend several thousand feet into the air. Look at that sunrise. For almost an hour, we are gliding over the modern town of Luxor, which was known as Thebes in ancient times. We see many temples and ruins below us. The desert spreads out to the horizon as well. Back on the ground again, let's walk through the ruins of the Karnak Temple. Here we see the ram's-headed sphinxes that line the entrance to the temple. Many pharaohs made additions to this complex over the centuries. Many massive statues and columns are found inside the complex. The giant statue on the right is of the great pharaoh Ramses II. There is also a statue of Hatshepsut, who was a female pharaoh in the 15th century BC. She was a very strong leader, and so her statues often show male features, such as a beard. Inside, the temple walls are often covered with paintings. Also, hieroglyphics record the names of generations of pharaohs. Some of the walls have been cleaned and restored in modern times, often revealing the original colors. As we continue to head north along the Nile River, we have finally reached the Giza Plateau outside of Cairo. Here in Lower Egypt, we find the amazing pyramids. They were built around 2500 BC. The Great Pyramid is the oldest of the 7 wonders of the ancient world and is the only one that survives. It was built as the tomb for the pharaoh Khufu, who lived about 2600 BC. It is made up of 23 million limestone blocks. It is the largest pyramid with a height of 454 feet. The Pyramid of Khafre, or Sefren, is the second largest pyramid at 448 feet high. It was built about 2500 BC. You can still see some of the original smooth limestone covering at the top. The Great Sphinx lies near the Khafre Pyramid. It was carved out of one block of stone. The Sphinx has the head of a human and the body of a lion. The face represents the pharaoh Khafre, who was buried in the pyramid. While we're here, we should go for a camel ride, don't you think? The Nile River eventually takes us to the modern city of Cairo. Cairo is the capital of Egypt. It is the largest city with a population of over 10 million people. It was founded in 969 AD. It is located near the Nile Delta, where the river spreads out and flows into the Mediterranean Sea. Cairo is sometimes called the city of 1,000 minarets. Minarets are the towers on Islamic mosques. Let's stroll through the Khan el-Khalili Bazaar. This market area dates back to the 15th century AD. Maybe we'll find the perfect souvenir to take home to remember this wonderful trip. This ends our sightseeing trip to Egypt. Special thanks go to Wayne Mangold and Roberta Arpan for sharing photos and stories from their trip to Egypt in 2022. As we leave Egypt, let's sing this traditional folk song called Aya Zain, or Oh Beautiful. Perhaps the lyrics refer to the Egyptian blue lotus flower, shown here. The blue lotus grew along the banks of the Nile in ancient times. It played a part in their religion. Today, the flower can be found in pools in Egyptian gardens. I will play the melody on my flute, and you can sing along using the lyrics on the next screen. I will play the melody first so you can hear what it sounds like. Let's sing the song first in Egyptian and then in English. Many of the syllables have 2 notes. Have fun! Let's try it in English now. You sounded great. Here are a few activities that you might want to do on your own. You might want to create free word search puzzles for yourself using websites such as education.com or thewordsearch.com. If you are artistically inclined, you might enjoy finding free coloring pages online. Try doing a search with terms such as Free Coloring Pages Egypt. Then copy and paste an image into a word processing document and print it. Thank you for visiting Egypt with me. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to contact me at my email address. Also, please take a moment to fill out a brief survey about the value of this program. This work can be freely used under the Creative Commons license shown here. Thank you and have a wonderful day.